If you are fearful about the failure, you won't be able to take decisions. During crisis, cash is king. When a lot of us had to take some harsh decisions as well. But how do you take those decisions if you have to take them?
Welcome to another episode of Thought Leadership Thursday by ET Edge Insights. The series features visionary leaders across their sectors as they speak about their transformative journeys and strategies for the future. Watch Thought Leadership Thursday to know more about your favorite business leaders and aspiring professionals. I have with me in conversation Rajesh Magow, co-founder and Group CEO MakeMyTrip. Welcome, sir. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure to host a conversation with you.
Thank you. My pleasure as well.
Starting with the initial, how do you define leadership and how do you think it's evolved over the years?
I think it's been an evolving subject over the years for sure. But at a very fundamental level, leadership is all about leading from front, leading by example. Someone who would have a vision, who could show the path to the team, but also at the same time sort of work with them to fulfill the vision as well, right? So it's all about having a long-term sort of vision for the organization. Just what you want to do, what you want to achieve for the organization, what you want to do, or maybe even for the society in the process as well. I guess over the years, the way it has also evolved is that a lot of the leaders, good old days, traditionally, there would be, and people will classify leadership into autocratic leadership versus participative leadership and collaborative leadership and so on. But now, over the years, what has happened is I think leaders have evolved to sort of be a lot more compassionate as well, given the sort of challenging environment every now and then that every leader has to go through as part of his journey or her journey. And I think those challenges make you a lot more humble and grounded. And I think leaders have evolved to sort of, while they have to just be very agile, be on the feet for them to be able to lead from front, but at the same time, also humbled and grounded in their demeanor. And very compassionate about the teams around them. So I think that's the way sort of leadership is evolving these days. And not to talk about, sometimes you will have unique leaders. When you look at the World Forum, you will have inspirational, unique leaders, very different, operating very differently. So you will always have all types, operating in the world. But mostly, I think the effective leadership is all about just having the ability to show the path, but at the same time also working with the team to be able to execute it.
There must be times when leadership has tested you. So can you share those moments with us?
No, absolutely. And there were plenty of times as part of the Make My Trip journey. And the recent one that comes to my mind that I guess practically every leader in travel and tourism or hospitality industry got tested really, sort of deeply, badly. And that was COVID. Couple of years, it was really crazy situation. The crisis was of a different order. It was not necessarily only crisis around what's going to happen to the business, but it was also crisis around what's going to happen with the people and their health. Right, so everyone sort of was getting impacted, and every leader was trying to grapple with multiple things at that point in time. How do you sort of navigate? How do you weather the storm to be able to come out of this crisis situation? Not only to get your business back on rails, but also to make sure that your the people are taken care of, and it was a time when a lot of us had to take some harsh decisions as well. But how do you take those decisions if you have to take them? It's obviously very sad when you take them, but how do you make sure that that you do it in a way that is less impactful, if you will, on people and trying to sort of also keep people point of view in mind as well. So I guess that was recent time where it all got tested, and it was also prolonged. So it was not necessarily just a few days or few weeks. It just prolonged for couple of years, and that was real test for any manager, any leader, who was operating an organization. The business got very badly impacted. For us, for example, we are a listed company, and our revenue was down by 95%. Now suddenly you had a quarter where there was hardly any earnings that you had to report out. So you have stakeholders, you have to go back, and obviously people were understanding the overall macro situation, but how do you now work on a strategy which will help you not only weather the storm effectively, but also sort of come out stronger? So I guess that was really the testing time. And and during testing time, by the way, there is tremendous amount of learning as well. The more you go through the challenges, better you learn and better you become. Learning out of those challenges, because challenging times also give you opportunities.
In your transformative journey, you must have also dealt with failures. So, how do you think failures shape a successful leader?
I guess failures are actually very, very important for anybody in his or her life, and especially for leaders. In fact, you learn a lot from the failure as well. So, um, as an entrepreneur, we always sort of encourage in the organization for you to actually go out and experiment, and not necessarily be fearful about the failures. Because if you are fearful about the failure, you won't be able to take decisions. You will be indecisive, and that's not a good situation to be in, right? When you have to run a business, there will be always some element of risk. So you have to have risk appetite. Of course, you will be calculated, and you would not be completely blind, and so on. That's only wisdom, right? So. But it's not that you would not follow gut at times. It's not that you would not end up taking risk. It's not that you would be worried about the failure, um, and then don't end up sort of acting. Um, and I guess that's the way we sort of at least at MakeMyTrip as have had our entrepreneurial journey. That not only we would end up sort of just experiment and go out and take whatever calculated risk that we need to take to just keep our business ahead of everyone else, but also encourage people in the system to be for them to go out and test out new features, do new experiments, think out of the box if you really need to, without worrying about the failure. Because if you fail, big deal. You learn from it, and you would as long as you don't repeat your mistakes, what you learn from it, I think it'll be fine, rather than just playing very safe in the game.
You talked about COVID, so I just wanted to understand, how do you prepare your organization for future disruptions, or maybe you prepare them for future trends as well?
Yeah, I mean, guess you learn a lot from the crisis, and when you learn a lot, and then you start to sort of think about it, potentially what is that you can do if tomorrow, God forbid, this happens or some other crisis happens, overall macro situation. And the travel industry is in many ways is sort of prone to disruptions as well. And we've seen many such disruptions over the years. So I guess one of the things that we've learned over the years is that during crisis, cash is king, and you have to have your war chest. And just to give you an example, during COVID, and this was learning from the past sort of many crises that we had dealt with. The reason it was a massive challenge, as I was just explaining, during COVID, the business going down and all. But thankfully for us, it wasn't an existential crisis, and the only reason for that was that there was some proactive thinking, planning had gone into it, in terms of just keeping our balance sheet pretty strong in terms of cash balance. And not only that, and during the COVID situation, and when we saw just a ray of opportunity, we ended up raising more as well, right? So just to make sure that you have enough resources. What if the crisis was going to go long, and you would need money, because at the end of the day, you have so many people who are working with you. You need to have resources. Without resources, you won't be able to run your business. So I think building war chest is one learning over the years, at least in the context of our business, that we've learned, and we've started to sort of prepare ourselves better. And in future, if that happens, potentially, if there is any such thing that happens, we will be better prepared. I guess the other thing also is that you become a lot more stronger mentally as well, because you've dealt with difficult situations, you've come out of those difficult situations, so you become mentally stronger. Because when crisis hits you, if you are faint-hearted and you're panicking, it's not going to solve the problem. So if you stay stronger, and then look for solutions, and then you will find a solution. So it's not that you will not find a solution. The solutions are all available out there, but you have to obviously find them. But for you to be able to be in position to be able to just focus and look for solutions, you can't panic. You need to be stronger in your head as well.
Yeah, definitely. Diverting this conversation to your personal life, I wanted to know, how do you balance your personal life with your professional goals?
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting question, and a lot of people would ask that question. So, my simple answer to this has always been that if there's a will, you'll find a way, right? So, yes, it's going to be busy time. It's not that, and you have to find your definition of balance. And if it ends up being, let's say, quality over quantity, then so be it, right? So I may not be able to spend a lot of time, but whatever time I'm able to spend on personal side, as long as it's high quality time, as long as it's time spent with full responsibility and full ownership, personal side as well as on the work side, you'll be fine. So every individual has to find his or her playbook. I don't think there is any scripted sort of standard SOP for this. Every person will have his or her own priorities, and when it comes to just striking a balance with personal situation and work situation, you will have to just find your way, and you will have to, as long as there is will and desire, and you want to do it, and you want to do justice here, and you want to do justice there, at least my personal learning over the years is that you will find time. So it's not that that you will be hard pressed. Yes, there could be some situation, and in those situations, I think on both fronts, if you have the ecosystem who's sort of understanding and supportive, that obviously is bonus, and that helps a lot.
Is there any leader who has inspired your journey?
Well, many leaders, actually. I mean, it's not that I follow a particular leader, but many. I mean, you learn from practically every leader out there, if you ask me. And and for me personally, that's the sort of desire and inspiration to just keep looking for whoever I would meet. You will learn a thing or two from that person as well. So either interacting or observing or reading about that person. And there are many sports leaders, for examples, that you learn from, and not necessarily one guy. There's a lot of sports personalities, who've done very, very well for themselves in life. And each one is different, and you learn from each one of them. So, and similarly, the world leaders, the political leaders, the corporate leaders, like I said, practically every leader that you learn. And also, by the way, young leaders as well. And sometimes you end up interacting with younger entrepreneurs in our space, and you learn a completely new thing from that person as well. So I think the important point is you keep your mind open to learning, keep your mind open to listening, and you will find sort of a nugget or two. So again, I think it's just about consuming the high quality content, whichever way it is coming from. The source doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So last part of this conversation, a legacy that you would like to leave behind.
Well, I don't know. That's for I guess, people to assess and judge. But I think my endeavor over the years has been that whatever you're doing, you have to be true to yourself. You have to be doing that with um, one wholeheartedly, two with full integrity and honesty, without worrying about the outcome of that. So hopefully, if you continue to keep following the path with full honesty and integrity, the result will fall in place. So, and if you're in the process, you stay grounded and you stay humble, um, so people would sort of,
Yeah.
you like people and people would like you. And that's the way I would want to be, and and hopefully practice what you end up sort of talking about it, and it's literally walking the talk, kind of the style. Now I don't too much worry about what legacy or what would I leave behind. Just sort of more focuses on karma and keep sort of going towards it, and don't worry too much about either the outcome or what you would end up leaving behind.
The last question, what's the best advice you have received as a leader?
Yeah, actually, there is not one advice, but a lot of the advice. Like I said, you learn a lot, and then you keep getting the advice, every now and then, which you sort of imbibe. But one thing that comes to my mind is that I think that advice has always stayed with me. That when you are running an organization, you have to keep in mind all the stakeholders, but especially people, right? So if you operate like a team player, because it's a team game, then I think 9 out of 10 times you might end up sort of winning the game.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You so much.
Thank you so much.
For more such insightful videos, keep watching Thought Leadership Thursday by ET Edge Insights. Thank you.